The following program contains scenes and language of a frank and explicit nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
This is The Loud List, where our random, rowdy, and raunchy band of misfits create top 10 lists of life's most insane shit. Be scared. Nothing is off limits. So congratulations.
You just made the list!
I'm the music god CJ Plain, and this is episode 3 of The Loud List. So far, we've done the top 10 records that influenced us, and we've done top 10 TV show themes that we loved growing up. But today, we're taking a left turn. Geographically and musically. We're going across the big pond ocean over to this gentleman, wherever he is on your screen, because it's Zoom and you never know where the hell they end up being orientated once I edit this shit show. So this is my brother from another mother. This is Mr. John Foster. He is going to introduce himself, tell you who he is, and we'll get into why he's here. How are you, brother?
Good evening once again. How are we?
Alive, hopefully.
Yeah, my name's John Foster. Like I say, over in England, in a little town called Bolton. And this is my episode of my top 10 Wildhearts tracks. And if you've never heard of the Wildhearts, where the fuck have you been all your life?
Right. So the Wildhearts are a band that I was introduced to because of this gentleman. I had actually heard one song by them before he lovingly impressed on me that I was a shithead for not knowing more, and I explored their catalog. And now we're going to do the top 10 songs by the Wildhearts. May or may not be in order. Mine are in order. I don't know if his are. But I'm going to start off by saying I have 6 songs that are honorable mentions. They are honorable mentions because one is from the covers record, and the other 5 are from compilation records. And I didn't think it was really fair to play songs that were, I guess, compilations or greatest hits. So, right out of the gate, we're going to do Battleship Chains, Weekend 96, Putting It On, Move On, 6:30 Onwards, and Bang. Those are all from, well, the first one's the covers record. Brilliant
Stop
cover.
as if you've heard this before. Yep.
Weekend 96 is from Landmines and Pantomines, which is a great title. Really love that song. It's there's something about that song that just makes you wanna. Putting It On and Move On is on riff after riff. 6:30 Onwards, which is probably one of my favorite songs, is coupled with, and Bang is also from coupled with. So with that said, we will start with your first selection for the list, and actually let me get my
okay. Not in at number 10, but we'll start at number 10, working our way down. It was actually one of the first songs that I ever heard. I got to see them. They were actually a support act for a band called, you'll know of exactly who they are, the Manic Street Preachers.
Yes.
So I first saw the Wildhearts supporting the Manic Street Preachers in 1991 over here. And at said gig, I had no idea who they were at the time. a friend of mine, when they came on stage, turned around to me and went, "Fucking hell, John, that's Ginger out of the Choir Boys." Now, I don't know whether you know or not, but Ginger was in the Choir Boys before he got sacked and then went on to form the Wildhearts. So at this very gig, the first time that I ever saw them, I bought a white picture disc, not picture disc, a white promo 12-inch EP, which was named Mondo Akimbo Agogo. And from that EP that I bought 35 years ago was a track called Turning American. And that is my number 10 Wildhearts track. And if you listen to that one, I can tell you're laughing. You've never heard it, have you? Give that one a listen, and it just basically goes Ginger saying, "Look, you're this, you're that, and the other. You want to be American. You want to be a star." Because at that time, early 90s, it was all about the hairspray, the big fucking, the hair metal bands and all this lot. The Wildhearts have always just been that band that shifted that dynamic and became everything that it wasn't. So the track number 10 is Turning American for me.
I actually have that one on my list. I have it much higher. That is the one we do have in common. Number 10 for me, I have the song Top of the World from the Wildhearts Must Be Destroyed. For some reason, when I put these songs in order, I had this weird way of thinking of, I knew what my number one was going to be because it's a song I play on my radio shows like religiously. There's like two songs that I love to start my radio shows with. One is my number one, and the other is Noise Level Critical by Tiger
Tails.
So I knew what my number one was going to be, like, automatically, but the other ones I just sort of had to randomly put in order, and I just kind of did it of, all right, what's the most melodic, what's the most catchy, what's the ones that really make you kind of want to bob in your chair. So that was the one that was kind of more towards, I guess, the lower end of the list. But yeah, Top of the World.
Good choice.
Number 9 for you.
Number 9 for me, from the difficult album. Well, it's all on your viewpoint with the Wildhearts, because there's been that many albums and there's been that many lineup changes. But for number 9 for me is Anthem from Endless Nameless, which Endless Nameless was that album that Ginger says himself was difficult to get through, it was certainly wasn't a fan favorite, but Anthem, what an absolute tune. Brilliant, absolute brilliant. For me, like I said, again, these are it's hard enough to put them in particular order, but like I said, my number one's always been my number one, and obviously we'll get to that, but number 9 for me is Anthem from Endless Nameless.
Beautiful. My number 9 is off one of the newer records, not the newest record, but the newer-ish. It's a song called My Head Wants Me Dead from 21st Century Love Songs.
Yep.
It was a tug of war between that one and Nexus. I listened to each of these songs about 50 times and was kind of like, okay, one's really fast and punky and I love that, but the other one's like really melodic and has that big chorus. And we went with My Head Wants Me Dead.
Yeah.
But the Nexus, what's it called? Nexus Plexus?
Nexus Icon.
Nexus Icon. Also from this record, very close to an honorable mention because I did think long and hard between those two songs for this spot.
Good choice again.
Do what?
Good choice again.
Number 8.
For me, number 8, it's the Jackson Whites from Chutzpah. Again, not a fan favorite album. If you talk around amongst the Wildhearts community, half of them love it, half of them are just, what were you doing with that album? I personally, I cannot. Every single album, I just go, yeah. Since 1991, this band have just never, ever, failed for me to go, there's not a bad album. There's not a bad song. There's, this band are what they are. And if you're not familiar with them, make yourself familiar with them. But again, number 8, Chutzpah is the album. The track is the Jackson Whites.
Yeah. I do have a song from that record. It is not that one, but it is also one of my high ranking tracks. So, but that's a great song. And that's also a great song, and one that I listened to a few times to kind of decide between about 3 of them on that record that I was leaning toward for various reasons. Number 8 for me is from the double self-titled record, and it's a song that I relate to both because I am one and I've been married to one. It's a song called Bipolar Baby.
Yeah.
I relate to that song. I know a thing or two about it, so that one kind of hit me in the feels a little bit, even though it's not really a love song.
Great song.
But
and not only with, like you said, you call it the self-titled album. It's known as, believe it or not, the White Album over here.
Okay.
So, you get it, you can see it, but it was, like I say, in the Wildhearts community, it is, even Ginger himself calls it the White Album.
Okay.
And again, another one, another fantastic album. Yeah. Well received, well produced. Again,
Yeah, and I actually had 2 songs from this record on my list.
Right.
So we'll get to the other one. Number 7. What do we got at number 7?
I have got at number 7 one of the, in fact, probably the biggest hit that the Wildhearts have ever done, and it is "I Want to Go Where the People Go" from PHUQ, which again, when it was a second album, and when it was released, it was meant to be, or Ginger wanted it, and he's actually done it recently. It was meant to be a double album. He'd wrote all the songs for it. Some of the songs ended up on what became known as Fishing for Luckies, which was after. But originally, he wanted to put this out as a double album, and East West Records said no. So it came out as the single album that it was not meant to be, but that's how it came out. And 3 years ago, he self-financed it, redid it all again, and put it out as it was intended, as a double album. And it's just, half the tracks that were on Fishing for Luckies were on originally PHUQ. But for me, number 7, the song itself was just, back then in 94 when it was released, it was an absolute dance floor filler across the rock clubs, and it was just that it was constantly on MTV, it was constantly on the rock shows that were over here. And it was actually filmed in New York as well. And so number 7 for me, I Want to Go Where the People Go.
Number 7 for me, I have the title track for 21st Century Love Songs, which is 21st Century Love Songs. I love the way they start the record with it. Just that big, aggressive, punky, almost borderline thrash sound, you know, in it.
Yep.
It lets you know, like right out of the gate, they're not fucking around. Like this is going to be a record of, you know, kick your ass songs.
Yeah,
And,
definitely.
I think, well, yeah, it's the second song that from this record that
Yeah.
I chose because My Head Wants Me Dead is on there as well. So probably one of my favorite records they've done. I mean, it's really a solid record from top to bottom, and
Yeah.
really like listening to this one. Probably my second favorite Wildhearts record. So yeah, 21st Century Love Songs is my number 7. Moving along to number 6. What do we got?
We have got from the debut album, and the lyrics to this song, if you've ever had a girlfriend, you've ever been married, etc., it still resonates now, 35 years later. My number 6 song by the Wildhearts is Love Shit. Everything about this song is just, it's just that, yep, I get that. Yep, I can relate to that. The line of sign your name on the dotted line, it's time for you to suffer. You know, tongue in cheek, so fucking well written. And with a bonus to that, you remember, I actually sent you a link the other day, didn't I? You remember Stevie Lang?
Mm-hmm.
She sang backing vocals on that track, on Love Shit, on their debut album. I mean, you're going back to, like you said, 1993 was when Earth versus the Wildhearts came out. And at the time, I was a 21-year-old boy, bloke, whatever you want to, whatever you want to be with it. Every single song on that album still just resonated with me from a, God, I love that. Yeah, this is just amazing. And like I said, I'd heard the EP prior to them releasing the debut album, and it just went better and better and better. Every song on that debut album is all killer, no filler. Absolutely, from start to finish. For me personally, Chris, it was and still is one of my favorite debut albums of all time. And you're talking Appetite for Destruction. You know, the big, massive debut albums. Earth versus the Wildhearts, for me, just tops the lot. It's just such a fucking great album. But yeah,
It is my favorite Wildhearts.
right. Yeah.
So, keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Number 6 for me is off one of the EPs. And I'm not going to do the whole title of the EP because, you know, it's about 4.5 pages long. But it's off the EP, If Life is Like a Love Bank. Yada, 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 yada. Yeah. It's the song Hate the World Day.
Right.
There is something about this song that is just, it's catchy as fuck, but it's still pretty over the top, and it's got that big, massive guitar riff in it. And it's just a great song.
It is.
I didn't put it higher because it was an EP song. So, you know, it's only because of that reason that it wasn't ranked higher. But yeah. Hate the World Day. Killer song if you want a song to really crank a crowd. Hey, John, hold on. Let me pause 1 second again. So, yes, number 5 for you. What do you got?
Right. Number 5 for me. Now, there had been 13 years between the Wildhearts releasing an album. And back in 2019, they released Renaissance Men, their first album in 13 years. And to me, this album it's on a par with The debut, Earth Versus, absolutely no question. You talk about 21st Century Love Songs. 21st Century Love Songs was the album that they did after Renaissance Men. But at number 5 for me is the track Diagnosis. Now, if you're aware of Ginger and the troubles and his life, he's been a massive advocate for mental health, because he's been openly admitted he's dealt with depression half of his life, or most of his life, to be fair, and this song, it resonates right across the spectrum for me. You listen to the lyrics, the opening riff to me, in No Word of a Lie, Chris, Malcolm Young, had he been alive when that was written, would have turned around and said, fuck me, I wish I'd have written that.
Yeah.
You listen to that opening riff of Diagnosis and tell me that is not AC/DC personified. And then the way that it builds and builds and builds and just bang, kicks in. Number 5, Diagnosis, mate, all day long. Such a fucking great song.
Yeah. I had a feeling when I heard that song, I was like, that's definitely going to be on this list somewhere. It struck me as a you type of song. Like, it just, that guitar riff just was like, that's a John type of guitar riff. So I had a feeling it was going to be somewhere in the mix somewhere, but I wasn't sure where. But so number 5 for me was one you already mentioned. Number 5, I have Turning American from the Mondo Akimbo A Go-Go. I was the first time I had heard that song, I immediately loved it. It was that perfect balance of, it was that perfect balance of like early Springsteen and like mid-era Pogues. It was like the Pogues and Springsteen kind of got together, and it just had that sort of punkish style, but it also had that singer-songwriter. I don't want to say singer-songwriter. It had that New York vibe, that Jersey vibe to it.
Yeah.
And the story being about New York, in Kennedy Airport and whatnot, and the lyrics, it really gives that cool vibe, and it's one of them songs that when you listen to it, you can almost picture the video in your head. Like just the rolling reel of like, the East Village, CBGBs, the Statue of Liberty, the Brooklyn Bridge, just that rolling reel of shit from New York that you would see like at the beginning of a cop show, like SVU or Law and Order or some shit like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, and wouldn't be completely out of place on a TV show like The Sopranos or something like that, So yeah, I had that at number 5 because just a dumbass catchy song that really is
very
great song. Number 4.
Number 4. 29 Times the Pain from Fishing for Luckies. Now, this, like I said, I've touched upon Fishing for Luckies before. Now, again, that album was done by Ginger, pretty much himself. The record company didn't want to touch it originally. Well, at the time, he didn't have a record company, and it was going round and round and round the houses. And then they actually did the second one, which was called Fishing for More Luckies, which was basically self-financed. He did it all himself. Fan club members, the days before what is it now that we'd the funding that's massive now. Well, way back then, there was no such thing, was there? So it was all basically through the fan club, and part of it is on the, if you're ever lucky to pick up a vinyl copy of Fishing for More Luckies, A, you've struck gold, and B, I want it. And you know, it was and is it was financed by the fans basically, and he had all these songs rattling around. There's interviews out there, there's YouTube clips out there with him. They're easy to find, and he'll talk about this album all day long. So you had Fishing for Luckies, and then you had Fishing for More Luckies, which was the fan club thing. But for me, number 4 is 29 Times the Pain. If you listen to that song, every band that he is was influenced by, is influenced by, comes up in that song, and he wears it on his sleeve and tells it like it is. And these are the bands that I was influenced by. This is this is that. You know, from Queen to Cheap Trick to Johnny Thunders, they're all there. They're all there. So yeah, number 4 for me, 29 Times the Pain.
Beautiful. I will keep an eye out for it, because I just got to interject really quickly and give a shout out to this place. I have not been there, but I've talked to the owner. There is a new place close to where I live. It is a place called Diggers, and the guy that owns it is a lover of physical media.
Right.
And there were no places that had good media at an affordable price. Being in Ann Arbor, it's near the University of Michigan, so everybody wants to jack the prices up on everything. He started this place in a marketplace, it was sort of a farmer's market type of place. And he rented the downstairs area of this warehouse and opened the store. And this is an entire bottom floor of a warehouse that is filled with vinyl, cassettes, CDs, books, VCR tapes, and everything is $1.25. So it's equivalent to about €1.
Gee.
Everything. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a vinyl, whether it's a cassette, whether it's a book, everything is $1.25 out the door. So I've not been there yet. Me and one of the older boys are headed that way here in a couple weeks, and we're going to go down there. And I have seen pictures of this place, and he has got a shit ton, proverbial shit ton. Now, I don't know exactly how much a shit ton is. It's a lot. I've already, just from the pictures he sent me, I was like, oh, yep, I want that Johnny Cash. I want that Freddie Fender. Oh, there's Chicago. There's a Chicago Transit Authority record that's going in my collection. That looks like a Slayer record of some kind. I see the little thing with the eagles at the top. So that's either got to be Slayer, Pentagram, or Creator. Those are the only ones who used a picture like that. So that'll be in my collection if it's there. You know, and he's like, you take as much as you want. And I'm like, dude, I got a station wagon where the seats go down. I got plenty of fucking room, bro.
I'm telling that motherfucker.
So I showed not my oldest son, but my second oldest. He's like me. He's a massive collector of, all of this type of stuff.
Yeah.
So he's looking at the pictures and he's like, so what you're saying is I should just bring an entire paycheck? And I was like, probably a good idea, because he's worse than me. He reads, and this kid never doesn't have a book in his hand.
Again, honestly, mate, I cannot understand this generation of not wanting physical media. For me, I'm fucking 53 years old this year, and there is nothing, and I repeat, nothing better than looking at that new album or the old album or whatever, whether it's vinyl, whether it's CD, looking at the liner notes, looking at the, who's produced it, who's guested on it, who's done this, who's done it. And that all stems back from being fucking 9-10 years old, looking at albums like Live After Death and things like that. I don't get the generation now of it's on my phone, I'm streaming it. No, I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. But if that guy is selling records and CDs at $1.25, then I'm gonna have to jump on a plane.
I'll send you pictures and video when we go there, man. He's a really super nice guy. He's our age. So obviously
Yeah.
he's from that
Yeah.
generation that, loves the shit. But I just was like, $1.25 a piece, and he's like, $1.25. I was like, but that's just for some stuff, right? And he goes, no, everything. If it's
Everything.
on the floor, it's $1.25. And I was like,
Wow.
it's like, why $1.25? And he's like, you know what? It's a uniform price. That's what the Dollar Trees charge. He goes, it's easy to keep track of. He goes, he goes to auctions, he buys the shit from people in bulk. So, he gets a great price on it.
Yeah.
And it averages out where even if he gives a more expensive record away, you also have that record that really
It's
ain't
still
worth
going
the
to have it. Yeah.
$1.25.
Yeah.
So, I'm just like, look, me being the elected guy like you understand that I will find shit in there that other people might look past, and I'll be like, Freddie Fender, old Johnny Cash that people might have forgotten. Yeah, I'll take it all day long,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm hoping to find some old country, some old type of stuff like that, some old 70s rock records, some progressive rock stuff that you know. If I'm really lucky, I'm hoping to find maybe a Pink Floyd or something along that line, because anyways, so you did number 4. My number 4 is from Chutzpah. And it's the song, I think it's the last track on the record. It's Mazel Tov Cocktail.
Cocktail, yeah.
Yeah, and it's another one of them songs. It's that sort of borderline punk, borderline hard rock, but just catchy as hell. And got that big old chorus that's impossible not to sing along to,
Definitely.
So that's my number 4 for the Wildhearts. Number 3. I have a feeling we're going to start converging a lot more for these last. We'll see. What's your number 3?
Right. Well, number 3 for me, it's off the new album. New lineup, new album. People say new lineup. Yeah, of course it's new lineup. The Wildhearts have always been that band that Ginger is the Wildhearts. If push comes to shove, CJ was been in there for years. Rich has been in there for years, but this is a completely new lineup. And it was a fortnight ago tonight that I went watching them on the latest tour, and fucking hell, the Wildhearts live are a phenomenon for me. I'm going on to one here, but the new album, it's absolute fucking brilliant. But my number 3 is from the new album, The Satanic Rites of the Wildhearts. And my number 3 track, it was actually a toss-up between 2, but this one came out on top, and it is I'll Be Your Monster.
That is not the one I was expecting. Beautiful song. I agree that it is a great song, but not the one that I expected you to pick from this one. But yeah, I agree with you. And as far as the live band, I haven't got to see him live, but I have been friends with Pontus for a while from his other band, Bonafide, and some of the other stuff he's done. So I was really excited when he made the announcement that he was part of the new band, and I just couldn't help but think, yeah, brilliant choice by Ginger to choose him as the drummer and whatnot. He's in his own right. Pontus he's a great songwriter and a great drummer and a great player.
He's an absolute powerhouse of a drummer, Chris. I'll tell you now. The guy he's like a fucking octopus. It was like I said, it was 2 weeks ago this evening. I went watching him with my daughter, with our Lucy, and he was he's a perfect fit. He's just, as drummers go, and for that type of music, for that type of band, spot on.
Yeah. And if you haven't got a chance, check out his other band. It's called Bonafide. There's that AC/DC-ish type of sound. So, you know, songs like Diagnosis are right in his wheelhouse, man, of what he does with the other band.
Yeah.
Number 3 for me is another one from you call it the White Album. It's the song "The Revolution Will Be
Will be
Televised."
televised.
I use that term a lot. I mean, you've probably noticed it actually didn't have any Wild Heart reference, but now that I've heard this song and I saw it, it's kind of fitting. Because I've used it with a noise report thing. I have one of the logos. It's the old Maxwell thing where the guy's sitting in the chair with the speakers.
Yeah, with the earphones on,
And it
blasting
says the
away.
noise report across the top,
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
bottom says
yeah.
that the revolution will be televised. Actually, I actually said the revolution will be broadcast, but same theory. So that's my number 3. Number
Number
deuce.
2. For me, again, we're going back to PHUQ album and a track called Just in Lust. Now, again, this one for me was just, I heard it the first time. It was released as a single after I Wanna Go. And at the point, CJ had left the band again. And they got, do you remember a band called The Senseless Things from over here? You may have heard of them, you may or not have done.
Sounds familiar.
Anyway,
I can't place it right off the top of my head, but it sounds.
Well, at that time, when this album was released, and here's another one for you as well, the guy from The Senseless Things called Mark Keds, he did guitar for the Wildhearts on that album. And there was a guy that you are very, 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 very familiar with that was the Wildhearts live guitarist back in 94, 95. This one will blow. I may have told you this before. I may have put it up on Facebook before, but you remember who the Wildhearts touring guitarist was round about 94, 95?
No idea. I know very little about him other than Ginger.
Well, this one will blow your fucking mind, mate. Devin Townsend.
You know what? I do remember reading that somewhere.
Yeah.
And Devin
Townsend toured with the Wildhearts as the guitarist. I think it was about 9 months, 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
And he still talks about it to this day.
Yeah.
But yeah. The number 2 for me, sorry, going on one, was Just in Lust from PHUQ.
Nice. So my number 2, from the new record, Satanic Rites of the Wildhearts. Probably not going to be a big shock to this man because we have like a running thing, a running joke amongst us. It's the song "Cunts." I heard that song.
Excellent.
It was actually one of the first songs I listened to. When I got the streaming a link for it, and trust me, I had to do everything short of selling one of my kidneys to get the streaming. They were very tight-assed with this one. They were trying to determine this one wasn't going to leak. So there was an NDA, there was a threat of national security, something pertaining to Guantanamo, few other things. So when I finally did get the link, I looked at the titles, and this was the first one that was just like, okay, is that a misspelling or is that what I think it is? And I listened
what
to
you
it.
think it is.
I was like, that is the most Ginger Wildheart song that could possibly be written next to my number 1. So yeah, it's Kunce is how it's spelled.
Yeah.
But it's exactly what it's the nice way of not offending people, basically.
That's the one.
Which is kind of hilarious considering it's called the Satanic Rites of the Wildhearts. He named the record that, but they didn't want to use the word. So
this is where he got the album title from, because he was a massive, is a massive Hammer horror fan.
Uh-huh.
So the Satanic Rites of the Wildhearts stemmed from the Satanic Rites of Dracula. So there's an interview with him when he was going on about saying, where did you get the title from? Now, like I said, if you know about the guy, he's a massive Hammer horror fan. And this is how it ended up being the Satanic Rites of the Wildhearts, because obviously he's got new record label. Dante Benuto, who runs the Spine Farm Records, he used to be a writer for Raw magazine, Kerrang magazine.
Okay.
Back in the day. And he actually, back when the Wildhearts made the video for Red Light, Green Light, which in turn cost £1 English to make. A little bit of trivia for you there as well. He went to Dante Benuto, who was his manager at the time, and said, want to make a video and it's going to be this much. It cost them £1. And Dante Benuto went fucking nuclear when he found out how much money he'd spent on it, and it cost £1 to make. Bit more trivia for you there. But yeah, It's absolutely good choice though. Is that the one that you thought I was going to be picking?
Yeah, that was the one I expected. That was the one I expected you to choose. Sort of the running joke, but it's a really killer song too. It's
definitely.
It's Wildhearts just through and through. Like it's
definitely.
It ranks right up there with, it ranks right up there with Diagnosis and Anthem and those type of songs that just have that big I'll Be Your Monster. It just has that spirit that you expect. So we are down to the final one. So with that said, we will let this gentleman give you his top pick and explain to you why it was never in question what was going to be the #1 song. What is the Holy Grail, so to speak?
It is My Baby Is a Head Fuck from Earth versus the Wildhearts. And there's a good few reasons. Number one, it's just a fucking amazing song. From start to finish, you hear the opening line, and you listen to it, you listen to the lyrics of that song. Anybody who's ever been in a relationship, any bloke who's ever had a girl can just go, yeah, she is a head fuck. They're all head fucks. They've all been head fucks forever and a day. It is one of the most, I think it's probably the most played live Wildhearts track. And it has a lot of significance for me, personally, because I don't know whether you know this or not, but I'll tell you anyway. It was the solo on My Baby Is a Head Fuck is by Mick Ronson.
Okay.
And it is the last, or it's down as, if not the last piece of music, it's down as one of the last pieces of music that Mick Ronson wrote before his untimely demise.
Okay.
Trivia 101. But yeah, My Baby Is a Head Fuck is, and still, it's to this day, mate, honestly. Like I said, 2 weeks ago, I saw him again live for Christ knows how many times I've seen him. And the final song was My Baby Is. It's always the encore. Always the encore. They dropped it a couple of years on tour. And due to fan pressure, it came back within about 6 months. It's my favourite Wildhearts song of all time. My Baby Is a Head Fuck. And she is. And they all are.
So, much in the same spirit, my #1 also is from Earth versus the Wildhearts. It's the very first track on the record. I have started more radio shows than I can count with this one, along with Noise Level Critical. It's the track Welcome to Shitsville.
Yep.
There's just something about this song, man. The spirit of it, the lyrics of it, there's sort of this punk snottiness to it. And almost in a way, it could have been a really great Clash song.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
well. It's just got that Joe Strummer attitude to it, man. Like, I don't give a shit. You know, when he says, all my neighbors disappear the second I get too near, stick out like an elephant ear down on Misery Street. You know, and it's just the way he's singing it, man. It's so punk, but it's really not a punk song. Um, it's a really great way to kick off a radio show. That and Noise Level Critical are both just, you know, really perfect songs in that sort of um, Wolfman Jack, that old Wolfman Jack style of you give that spiel, you know,
Yeah.
and then you
Yeah.
play a kick-ass song.
And the punk antithesis of things as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So my number one is Welcome to Shitsville. Was never in question simply because, like I said, you know, when I do my radio shows, when I put them together, I have a very short list of songs that I begin with, and this is always like one of the first choices. Yeah, that's got to be in there somewhere, you know. So if it's not the first song, it's within the first three or four.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always in the mix, though. Yeah.
You know, I rarely rarely start a show without it in there somewhere, and so that's our top 10 list. Mr. Foster, where do they find you? If you want to be found, if you want to give them, if not, that's fine. Where do they find you on social media? Find out more about what you listen to, what you do, and your wonderful family. Because this guy has a killer family. I can't wait to get over there and meet them. Dude, I wish I was living over there right now. There is a fucking concert in Sweden this summer that I swear to fucking God, dude, it's like it's got us written all over it, man. It was just the lineup on this fucking thing is so fucking ridiculous. And I was like, I'm gonna tell him about this, and I'll guarantee you he's gonna fucking get on a fucking plane or a train to go to this goddamn thing. Because you still got plenty of time to save up, and it's in Sweden. But it's got the Wildhearts, it's got Devin Townsend, it's got Eclipse, it's got fucking Heat, I mean, it's a 3-day festival of every single band. There's not a bad artist on this fucking thing. And I was like, fuck, man, like, like, it's like if there was ever
I know a guy who
there,
I'd love to go to that with. Yeah.
I was reading the lineup and I'm just like, they're spending a fortune on this one because there's not a terrible band on this fucking. I mean, the Wildhearts in and of itself, but I mean, then you have fucking Devin Townsend, you have Eclipse, who are one of my, Eric Martin said that fucker couldn't write a bad song if he tried.
Oh, guy's a legend.
It's just like everything he writes, whether it's Eclipse, whether it's Wet, whether it's fucking a Jeff Scott Soto song, it's just like it's a new song, in the second you hear it.
Yeah.
Jeff, the House is on Fire, the new song from Wet. Jeff's like, this is a new song that Wet. And I was like, he's like, I'm singing it with Eric this time. And I was like, this is going to be fucking disgustingly catchy.
Yeah.
And this first line, it's got that fucking hook in it. And I was like, I should have fucking known, dude. Like, Eric is just one of them fuckers who, it should be criminal to be that goddamn talented to write fucking catchy goddamn hard rock song.
How can you write such good shit and just
just time after time after time? That's the thing. Like you think he does a record and you think it couldn't get better, and then he does a better one. And Michael Monroe's the same way. This son of a bitch is in middle 60s now, and you would think he'd be hitting a point where he'd start burning out, but it's just every record gets better and better
and better. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
you're not wrong.
What the fuck, bro?
Yeah. How do you do that shit? I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And it still sounds flawless in concert. My buddy sent me a video of him from the Mork, Monsters of Rock cruise. And
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen it.
yeah,
It's
just
unbelievable.
still sounds like he's 25 years
Unbelievable.
old. It's like, God damn, bro, like this, you are one dude whose voice has not burned out. Like there's a lot of them whose voices are
Gone.
let's just say the voices are gone.
Yeah.
And be kind. But he's not one of them, man. Like
No.
it shocks me. Like he's still out there kicking and doing his thing, man. And it's like,
Well, he's done. He did. We have a little, like a little mini festival over here. This is a real tenuous link now, but he played. It's called HRA Hard Rock Hell Festival over here, and
it's another one.
guess who supported him? The Wildhearts ex guitarist CJ. So CJ supported Michael Monroe over here, and it was just before the new album got announced, and it was like CJ was doing his own thing, Ginger's doing his own thing, and it was like, fucking hell, hang on a minute, because Ginger used to play in Michael Monroe's band 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just bizarre that the tenuous links between the Wildhearts, ex-members of the Wildhearts, etc., it just goes on and on and on. And I could literally talk about it all night. And it's just, but yeah, like you said, he is one of those singers that his voice, and like you said, his age, and you're thinking, how are you fucking still sounding so damn good? And like you said, flawless. There's never a bad performance, never a bad. And I go back to the first time I remember seeing Mike Monroe was it was a little tiny club over here called the International 2 in Manchester, and he just released Not Faking It.
Yeah.
And I know your life is Dead Jailer Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
I remember the discussions that we've had in the past, and it's like, and like you say, fucking nigh on 40 years later, and you just think, wow, and there's a lot to be said about it, isn't there? You know what I mean, mate?
And Michael was one of them guys. I knew about Hanoi Rocks because I was in Cali, kind of when that whole thing happened with Vince and Razzo and whatnot.
Yeah.
Hanoi Rocks was a band that I knew, but I didn't listen to much. Like I didn't know a lot about them other than they were like the Swedish band that Guns N' Roses leaned on really heavily for their whatnot. So I didn't really know much about them. But when that record came out, when I heard that song, it literally was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was just one of them songs, man. The lyrics, like, when I was a boy, yada, yada, yada. And it was always, there was never a plan B for me. When they said, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm going to be a rock star. Oh, that's cute. What if it doesn't work out? I'm going to be a rock star.
Yeah.
Well,
no choice. Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, look, I don't give a, Dad's like, learn to drive this semi. No interest. Grandpa's, learn to drive this tractor. No interest. I'm going to be off this fucking farm the first chance I get.
You're right.
Vapor trail. You will never see my dumb ass again. And I look back at it now and I regret it, but it's just one of them things. When I heard certain records, that first Boston record made me want to be a musician. The Vital Signs by Survivor made me want to be a serious songwriter. Because Pateric could write a really great song. Shout at the Devil made me want to be sort of that more hard rock style. And then Master of Puppets come along and I was like, okay, maybe I want to play even heavier than Master of Puppets. And then my cousins got me into like Dirty Rotten Imbeciles and the UK Subs and Gangrene and that kind of shit. So I was like, maybe it's got to have some punk in it. And I've bounced around, but that was always the song that just like I said, if there was a song to define me, it's Dead Jailer Rock and
That
Roll.
jail rock and roll, yeah.
I knew
Yeah.
like if I didn't succeed in doing something with music, I was either going to end up in jail or be dead because
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just too much of a fucking bull in a china shop.
Exactly. That I can relate so much, and it was, what do you want to do? Well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be the fucking normie. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And like you say, from like my as a fucking hell, my first musical memories from like 10 years old were like bands like Status Quo, Marillion,
Mhm.
the fucking proggy shit that my dad was listening to, but picked up on it. And then, like you say, as you get older, older, got into like mid-teens and listening to Metallica and Slayer and thinking, fucking hell, it doesn't get any better than this. And then it did, and then wanting to be a musician, but thinking, I can't play a fucking note, which is why I ended up DJing for 30 years. You know what I mean? It was,
Right.
I could put on a record and fill a dance floor and go, my job's done, But to keep it going all night and to keep that fucking momentum going in the clubs, that it was just yes, 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 yes. Whether
Yeah.
it was Firehouse or whether it was fucking Napalm Death, I didn't give a shit. As long as I
Yeah.
saw people, I got off on people getting off on a dance floor. You know what I mean? And that's where my
There's
musical love comes from. And
yeah.
now, like I say, for the last 5 or 6 years, taking my daughter to gigs, and I've got in the end of June, I'm taking the youngest. She's 16 this year, but I'm taking her to London to watch the Deftones. She absolutely loves the Deftones, and you just think, you look around and you see friends, and they're like, I'd call that fucking boring life. Well, you're not doing anything. You're just going along with the flow. And I think I couldn't be like that for love nor money. I just couldn't. It's not me. There's not a day goes by, Chris, where I do not listen to music. If I didn't have music in my life, I'd be fucking dead. And that's bottom line. Just the way it is.
No, that's 100% the truth. Like I've been asked the question, if you had to give up one of your five senses, which of the five would you least not want to lose? And I'm immediately like hearing. Hearing would be the one I would look. I'm okay not seeing. I could still listen to music. I'm okay not tasting stuff. I can still listen to music. I'm okay with whatever. As long as I can hear music, I'm okay. But the
Yeah.
thought of being deaf and not hearing music,
Oh, it'd kill me. It would kill me.
just take me out behind the barn, pump one behind the ear, and go have dinner on me. Like that's
Absolutely.
just the bottom line.
Yeah.
Just put one in there, grab my wallet, and have dinner on me, bro. You're doing me a favor.
That old saying of money makes the world go around. No, it fucking doesn't. Music makes the world go around. For me, music makes the world go around. And music is the food of love. End of story. That's it.
Yeah.
There's so much out there. There's so much fucking. I look around my house and I'm like, CDs, vinyl. I've got fucking music everywhere. I've got it on my phone. I've got it on my laptop. I have got music coming out of my fucking ass, basically. But it's whether you love it or, certain bands. Well, I've reached a point in my life where I'm like, yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that. We all like what we like and we all dislike what we dislike. But as I've got older, I've learned not to dislike stuff like I used to do when I was a kid. And go, no. And, when you instantly dismiss something like glam metal for me when I was like 17, 8, no, it's shit, that. No, it's shit. Well, no. As I've got older, I've learned to appreciate it more, if that makes sense. It's just, no, music's music, and it's a fucking brilliant thing.
And that's the thing. Like I've become more jaded, but also less jaded. There are those bands that I have a shit ton of respect for, but would never personally put one of their records on. You will never catch me listening to a Rolling Stones record or a Rush record. It's just, I'm not a fan. But the
Respect.
Rolling Stones, 70 years as a band is 70 years as a band.
Yeah,
So you
that's
get
it,
my
isn't
man
it?
fucking respect. I don't like Taylor Swift. But you know what? I'm not selling $1 billion a year in concert tickets. So hey, do your thing, boo boo.
Respect to you, yeah.
So, until I'm selling $1 billion worth of tickets a year, I'll just sit over here in my little home studio and shut the fuck up.
But on the other side of that, though, Chris, you're not sat there in the middle of a fucking vast, massive stadium watching a video screen. Like I can go back 2 weeks ago when I'm in a fucking 1,600 capacity club and I can see everything. That to me is the difference. Where I think now in this day and age, where it's like it's becoming an event, like your big stadium gigs, your big tours. Respect to the artists that are doing it. You're making the money. You're making the albums. I get that. That's fine. That's all well and good. But to me, there is nothing better than going to a club or a medium-sized venue, or even a theatre, over here, what we call as theatres, like 3,500 capacity. To me, you can see everything, you can hear everything. You're not stood there at the back of some fucking 100,000 strong crowd going, yeah, I've just paid what? Fucking 200 quid to watch a video screen.
Yeah.
And, that's what the kids want to do these days. I get that. I get it 1,000% because you want to be there. You have to be there. Well, that's fine. I just think it's a bit soulless at times, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. A couple years ago, you'll remember this, before the divorce, when Belle was here, I took her to her first concert.
Yeah.
We took her to see Youngblood, and it was in a not a big venue. It was not a small one. When that kid come out, I wanted to hate him. I really did. I wanted to hate him, but I couldn't. The little bastard just has that goddamn rock star spirit, man. Like
spirit,
and he, for a little asshole who is asthmatic, he came out in that stage, and for 2 hours and 40 minutes, that little bastard ran back and forth, stood in the middle of the audience with an acoustic guitar playing the song California.
Fucking ball of energy, isn't he? Yeah.
Went across the goddamn, hand over hand across the goddamn lighting rig, pogoing up and down, and I was just standing there like that. It was the most Joe Strummer thing I had ever fucking seen, and I was just like, all my mind was thinking the whole time. I was like, I swear to God, if Joe Strummer had a kid, it would be him.
It would be Youngblood, yeah.
He walks that line between pop and punk and reggae and all the other styles, and he just does what he wants to do. It's so Joe Strummer and what he does. And nobody has said that about
when
him.
he did that, when he organised his own festival over here and he played Milton Keynes. And I was talking to our Lucy, and she was like, in fact, I remember going back to when you took your kid to watch him, and I'm telling Lucy, and I'm showing her the photos, and she went, oh yeah, I know Youngblood, he's British. And I went, fuck off. What? Hang on, no way. And then we were talking about that, and she's saying, why, where are you coming from? I said, Chris is fucking taking his child to watch Youngblood. She went, that is so good, Dad. And I was like, yeah, fucking hell, no way. And then he'd done his own festival, and he's got like the likes of the Damned on, you know, and you're thinking, fucking hell. The lad's, he's 21 now or something like that?
I think he's like 24. 25.
Right. So, I mean, going back to when you saw him, he must have been what, 19?
It was
good few years ago.
2018, I think it was 2019.
Yeah, it was before COVID.
Yeah, it was his second record.
Wow,
that he did. And the thing that made it really great is Bell had this Ed Hardy coat. We had found it in a thrift shop. didn't know what it was. I saw the Ed Hardy coat and I was like, oh shit, that's Ed Hardy. I pulled it off the rack and it was they only wanted like $2 for it. And I told her, I said, take this. And she goes, well, what is it? And I said, take it. She goes, I don't know if I'll wear it. And I was like, look, for $2 fucking, I'll wear it. You don't understand. It's Ed Hardy. They don't know what they're selling.
Yeah.
Oh, they wouldn't be selling it for fucking $2.
$2, yeah.
She took it home and she started looking at it and she liked it. So she ended up wearing it all the time. After the show, he's like, I'm going to go out back and sign autographs. So, of course, everybody went to the back. When he came out, there was like 300 people there wanting autographs. So the manager's trying to pull him back into the thing because they have to leave. He's standing on top of a goddamn dumpster. One of the big ass, industrial dumpsters.
Yeah.
And he's signing stuff and he's throwing it out. And Bell, we were probably about 15 foot back. And Bell's like, I want him to sign my coat. And I was like, okay. I'm like, I'll try, but So he turned around and she had taken the coat off and I balled it up like a football and I threw it and it landed at his feet. And he looked down at it and he picked it up and he held it up. And he kind of looked and Bell screamed and he looked at Bell and he smiled and he signed the coat. And then he had black lipstick on. He kissed the coat and he went like this to her and then threw the coat back to her. I swear to God, I thought Bell was gonna fucking faint. And it was just like, those are the moments that you can't buy. Those are the moments as a parent that you can't put a price on it. So even after the divorce, now that I don't get to talk to Bell anymore and all this other bullshit because of whatever.
You had that moment though, mate. You had that moment.
She'll have that memory. She will have that memory for the rest of her life of her very first concert. She'll have that coat. Even when she outgrows that coat.
Yeah.
She's going to keep that coat because it's got Youngbird's signature.
You have that memory of you took her there. You were by her side.
But it's that same kind of memory you have, man. Like taking her to see the Deftones. I'm not a huge fan of the Deftones, but you know what? If it's the first concert and that's what they want to go to, I'm going to sit there because it is what it is. You can't. I remember my first concert. My dad, my Uncle Marty taking me to see the strangest pairing of bands of all time. It was Iron Maiden as the opening act for 38 Special, who was the opening act for Rainbow. I was 11 years old, didn't really know much about any of the bands. Maiden still had Clive as a singer. 38 Special was 38 Special, and it was the very first tour that Joe Lynn did with Rainbow.
The Rainbow, yeah.
So it was this weird combination of you have the metal band opening for the Southern rock band, opening for the progressive rock band.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't think about it as being that weird. When I look back at it now, I'm like, who the fuck was smoking crack when they put those three bands together? Like, did we just throw 10 bands in a hat and we just chose them out or what?
Who decided that was a good idea?
It was a killer show. And I remember that show distinctly because it's your first show, man. You never forget that, and
no.
It was a small little place called Wing Stadium here in Kalamazoo. Only about 2,000 people is the full capacity of that place. So you got the stage and the seats kind of come around it in a bowl shape. So no matter where you sit, you have a great view of
a good view. Yeah.
Great sound, really good acoustics. So even for that time frame, even with a smaller place, they put on a big ass show. Maiden had a killer show, and 38 Special did their thing, and then Rainbow came out, and Richie just played his ass off, man, and Joe Lynn did what Joe Lynn did, which was just sing like a goddamn crazy man. So you don't forget your first show, man, and
you certainly don't.
So certainly don't. I have mad respect for you, man, for what you do with your daughters and whatnot, man. You have an amazing family, and I love having that little window. What you guys do,
As I do with you, and I have done it's been a good few years now, and there's
yeah,
in this day and age with social media and Facebook, I don't post very often. I don't fucking talk very often, but when I can talk to you, I know it's about music. I know we're going to have a fucking good chat. I know we're going to, wish that I could just fucking jump on a plane and go, I'm on my way.
I'm gonna get over there soon, bro.
Get
I'm
to
gonna
be
get over
easy,
there soon. I'm working on settling some accounts and debts to try to get my credit up to where I can get a loan.
Yeah.
Divorce is a motherfucker, man. Divorce,
No, absolutely.
it fucks
Absolutely.
you up. But you know what? I've told everyone that told me you're crazy for taking on the financial debt you took for that divorce. I tell them, you know what? I took it on so that I could get sole custody of my son and ensure
Sure.
his safety. And I'll do it every fucking time. I'll take on 10 times the debt if that's what's required, because you can't put a price on your children's well-being and safety.
Can you fuck? And the way that you are with Jackson, mate, I have got nothing but respect for you in that fucking
That's my
sense.
boy.
It's
My boy,
you just
man.
I seen him. Don't forget. I saw the breakup. I saw the divorce. I saw the aftermath, the beforehand and afterwards, and it's like, haha, I'm smiling, motherfuckers. And that was you all over.
Yeah,
And I've got
like I said,
nothing but respect for you for that, Chris. And I've told you this a million times, and it's you did what you did, and that little lad is like, yeah, Dad, yeah, we're here, and fucking respect, mate, respect.
all right, brother. So we're gonna wrap this up. You know what we do? We got a little long-winded there, but that's okay. If you stuck around, thank you. If not, still respect. But as always, be well, treat each other with kindness, and remember, no matter what you're going through, there are a million bands out here that will heal your soul.